Special guest in studio with us here today, and as I said earlier, he's one of the OGs on this show. He's an original gangster intern. He was here. He was the Clubhouse manager when the whole thing got started. He's since moved on to other things, but he's back in studio. Zac Stovall of Huntography.com. Zac, it's good to have you back, man.
It's good to be back, Kyle. I see you got a new TV over there.
I do get it. Yeah, it got smaller, but it's in a better spot.
Yeah.
So I can live with that. Now, I got to ask, man, and you and I have been friends for a while now since we started this thing going, and I've known since the word go how much you love the outdoors and how much you love hunting and fishing, and I can't tell you all out there how many times a week I get a text from Zac about, hey, you want to go fishing this weekend, or hey, check out this buck that was roaming around my backyard last night. You got one of those fancy night cameras set up everywhere. And then you got involved with Huntography.com. And it's such a cool movement because it's guys, younger guys, but not just younger guys, older guys too, that are really embracing social media and journalism and blogging and these things and intertwining it with hunting and fishing, which, as we know, has been around for hundreds of years. What's so special about this movement?
Right. Well, last year, this Huntography, this will be the third season of this thing going on. How I got involved is a guy from his name's Will Jenkins from thewilltohunt.com, and he said it best in last year's DVD. He said that hunters have been traditionally underrepresented in technology.
Right.
And this whole movement, seeing Twitter, the power of Twitter, and the way it's brought this community together is unreal. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be a part of it if I never joined up with Twitter. I mean, and it's just showing that it's real people doing real things. It's not the Sportsman channel where you see these guys. It looks scripted. You see these guys going out and killing these monster huge bucks, and it's nothing like that. It's real people, real hunts, and it's just about how it really is. With average hunters.
Yeah, and that's interesting too because, like you said, hunters have been underrepresented in social media, and Twitter and Facebook and those things. Right. I mean, that makes total sense. Right. It makes sense because I know in my experiences talking to guys that work for the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries and
right.
folks that specialize in these sorts of things, the strides they've made, but also the struggles they've undergone in trying to connect hunters and fishermen with social media and embracing technology. Because it seems like more and more you're seeing younger generations, kids, teenagers, who aren't as turned on to the outdoors as even guys, our age, mid to late 20s. You feel like there's even a generational gap there between, us and a kid that's maybe 16 years old. And so I know they've tried to really connect with that older demographic of hunters. But I looking at this, it's really not that difficult for these guys to get involved, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not at all. I mean, I don't do a lot of tweeting. But, I'm constantly keeping up with these guys. Will from thewilltohunt.com, his blog, he's always posting, at least twice a week about, just things that's going on, local things. And that's something that I really enjoy about it.
And Will's a Virginia guy, right?
Yes, sir. He's on the eastern side of Virginia. I want to say Alet, Virginia. I'm not sure exactly where that's at, but I know it's on the eastern side of the state. Yeah.
You told me something cool that Will does. And again, it's willtohunt.com.
Yes, sir.
And he actually, before he got hooked up with the Huntography.com, he was doing something really cool.
He actually, I'm not sure how he got involved with it, but the way that, I got involved or got in contact with Will was he had a program called Harnesses for Hunters, which is still out there today. It's starting to get a lot of publicity from big companies, outdoor companies, that it's basically a company or he created like a central hub where you could donate safety equipment, and what he would do is he would turn around and give it to guys that couldn't afford it, didn't know how to use it. It was basically, I wouldn't say a charity, but just kind of a way to share things that to keep you safe out there. And I had some stuff, and I said, hey, you want this stuff? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then from then on, I got to talking to him about, what I'm doing out here, how much I love hunting. And he invited me to be a field editor for Virginia.Huntography.com, which is kind of, the Huntography is kind of the main thing, but each state kind of had its own. I think it's up to, I want to say
There's several states. I saw probably about 15.
Yeah, there's about 15
states
now. Virginia, the Virginia one is just Virginia stuff. I don't go outside of my means. I stay right here in the NRV and other parts of Southwest Virginia. So it's good to that's what I really like about it. I really like the fact that I can talk about what's going on here and what's going on, right here, and not worried about what's going on with these Midwest huge bucks that I'll never get a chance to go hunt these things.
Big mule deer.
Yeah, and and these hunts that you have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to go hunt these things. I'm doing what I can do. I can hunt right here.
Zac Stovall, field editor of Huntography.com, Virginia Huntography. Now, I guess with local hunters and local fishermen, we keep using the word hunt, but it's also there's a lot of fishing involved as well. So as you're talking to these guys out here that may not be familiar with Huntography.com, when you're reaching out, what do you want them to know about Huntography? How can they get in, how can they get involved? What's different, especially locally about Huntography than some of what you were talking about? The Sportsman channel, the Outdoors channel, even what's going on something locally. What's different about Huntography that can be utilized locally?
Well, you can keep up with, what's going on here. You're
telling folks things to do, where to go. You've got videos, you've got resources for local hunters,
right,
that they can use on their own, Saturday morning trip.
And I think a big thing for Huntography is it's not just about hunting. It's about the whole experience. Getting out there, putting in the time. As we all know, I've been hunting a lot of times, and I haven't ever killed an animal. I was kind of nervous about coming over here on your show because I was thinking about all your listeners are going to be thinking about, they're usually here listening to football, baseball kind of stuff. But hunting is a sport too, and in a way, I kind of compare it to like a football or a baseball team that they hardly ever win any games, but maybe one or two. But that one or two, that's what keeps them going,
right?
And that's kind of like how hunting is for me. I've been a lot of times and never had any success, but I enjoy being there. Just like those kids that enjoy playing football and baseball, even if they're not winning, they're enjoying it. And when you do get that win, or you get that big buck, that's what keeps you coming back.
So when you're on Huntography.com, you're posting, you're blogging, you're tweeting. What are you typically conveying to your readers? What are you talking about?
Here lately, it's just mainly right now. We're about 2 months out from bow season, so I'm letting everybody know kind of what I'm seeing. It doesn't have. I'm no expert, but I'm letting people know how the deer are moving in my area. What I'm seeing as far as bucks go, diseases. Movement, their patterns. It's basically just, whatever I want to write about, and that's the good thing about Rudy, the guy that created this whole thing. He's given us the freedom to talk about whatever we want to talk about, as long as it relates to hunting in a way. But right now I'm just, telling everybody what I'm doing. I don't share all my secrets, but
right.
I definitely.
But you say you're not an expert, but I can tell you quite honestly, Zac helped us out with Christiansburg football broadcast last year, and so Zac and I have gotten to know each other very well. And during deer season especially, I didn't even bother texting or calling Zac on the weekends, because I would just wait for a text, say, hey, look what I got, or look what I saw,
right,
or nothing yet, So you say you're not an expert, but I know you've been doing this your entire life. Talk about fishing for a second, because this is also an aspect of Huntography.com, and I encourage you all to check it out. It's a great website. But as far as the fishing side of things goes, which is something you're also very passionate about, right. Are you on there talking about hot spots?
As far as fishing goes, what I've been doing, I've been teaming up with some guys over in Giles County at Tangent Outfitters over and they do some guidance service on the New River. I've found a whole new respect for the New River this year, just by being out there and seeing these guys. They do a lot of fly fishing over there, but yeah, it's a whole different game, which I have yet to do, but I'm trying to get into it.
I'm terrible. I can't tell you. I can't tell you how many times practicing in the front yard I hooked a bush and quit. It's miserable. I'm awful at it.
Yeah. Like I said, that's not my thing, but I enjoy being out there. I got a guy over there. His name's Wes Hodges. He's a real good guide, and he kind of lets me in on things sometimes. Fishing, I'm way more into hunting. I'm like you. I get hung up every time I go fishing, and I get, you just have to deal with that. But, it's just whatever,
So what are you conveying to these guys on your blog about that sort of thing? I mean, this is what I caught this weekend. This is where you need to head down to. This is where they're stocking. I mean, are you talking about that kind of stuff at all?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be, this is what's going on. It can just be like, it's more about the story and the whole experience behind the hunts and the fish. I remember last year you were telling me about you went hunting, and I think you said you guys got up there and you forgot all your bullets.
Well, yeah, got to the top of the mountain and we forgot the bag.
Right, so it's more so about that. And I talked to Rudy about a month or so ago, and his thing is when he comes in and he films this stuff, he kind of films it, without script and kind of showcases the natural highs and lows of the hunt as they occur naturally.
So it's and actually I talked to him just the other night on Twitter, and he said,
right.
I joked with him. I said, "Can I get in on some of that action?"
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to film you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not worth filming, but that's awesome that you're willing to do that."
Yeah.
And so he's out there telling these stories, and it's like you said, it's not like watching the Outdoor Channel. And I love the Outdoor Channel.
Right.
I love some of those channels, but you're right. You watch it and you can't help but think, how scripted this is, and how fabricated or how,
right.
quite frankly, how fake some of it looks. I mean, obviously they got the buck,
right.
But the process isn't there.
Right. I mean, and the things they show on there, to me, are just unattainable.
Right.
I mean, I'll never be able to get to do that kind of stuff. But what I can do is what I can do here.
Right.
And as long as I'm, out in the woods here and talking to people, just talking to people, that's what it's all about. It's all about the hunt and the experience. Because this year, Rudy's he's gonna be here this November. He's gonna be filming me, Chris Mann, and for the Will. He's actually gonna be coming down here. Like I told you earlier, we're gonna be out in a cabin over in Marion, kind of Tazewell area. So that's what it's all about. It's about setting up deer camp. Stories.
I know you were heartbroken because you told me you got a cabin down in Tazewell, which is where I got a lot of family. And
right.
I hunt down there with my cousin sometimes. And you said you were up on a cabin, and you were up there just checking it out, up there just doing a little reconnaissance type stuff.
Right.
And you stepped outside, and there was a black bear 15 feet away.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing you guys are hoping to catch.
I'm more so on the whitetail, but, if a black bear comes by,
Right, clearly,
Yeah, so, but yeah, I mean, and that's all it's all about. Just unscripted, there's no guarantees in hunting. The weather's always sometimes against you. You may not see anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of factors in hunting. No matter how much time you put in, how much you think you got these guys figured out. Right now I feel like I have a really good pattern on these deer. At some spots I'm hunting here in Montgomery County, but I know come October, it's a whole new ball game.
I was looking at some of the states that are represented on Huntography, and it's a lot of southern states, and of course you got some states in the Midwest, places like Missouri and
right.
Illinois, and you got some states up north like Michigan and New York, where I know upstate New York, there's some great hunting up there. Even Connecticut, which kind of surprised me, but that it's really popular there. But you said watch out for Michigan, because and I've heard the same thing. There's some pretty big deer up in Michigan. What do people say about Virginia? What have folks that you've encountered, from other states say about hunting in Virginia? What do they ask you?
People don't ask me too much. I know Will, he's actually the managing editor for virginia.huntography.com, the specific Virginia blog. They hunt with dogs up there, yeah,
that's right, because there's that line of in Virginia where you can and can't hunt with dogs.
And so, there's a lot of flat ground up there too.
Mm-hmm.
Out here, I think Rudy and Will that are coming out and they're going to be filmed. We're going to put them in the mountains, and they're going to realize, it's not going to be that flat ground kind of stuff. And I mean, you hike out up there, in the flatlands, 5 miles. 5 miles is a long way in the mountains.
Yes, it is.
And especially if you get a deer, it's a long way to get it out of there.
Now, when when you go, let's say you talked about the eastern side of the state a little bit,
Right.
And it's interesting to me too because it's interesting how much different Virginia is.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia has a lot of different climates to hunt. Have you ever been able to experience, going out to southeastern Virginia or out near the coast and hunt, maybe waterfowl or something? That kind of stuff's completely foreign to us in the mountains.
Right, exactly. I don't do any bird hunting, any waterfowl at all. I have been up to Charlottesville. Was about as far as I've been hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, they're allowed to do the dogs up there, which I don't necessarily do, but if you can, you can. But up there you can pretty much sit in a field and see something 200, 300, 400 yards away, and you can pop it.
And in the mountains, you're lucky to see for 50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially here in early bow season when the leaves are still on the trees, and it's hard to see, and it's challenging. So I just look forward to these guys coming out. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to represent the state and also represent this part of the state.
Yeah, because it is so unique. You're exactly right. It was a pleasure to have you back, man. We're going to do this again very soon because I love the website. Huntography.com is amazing. You and Will holding down the state of Virginia, and I think it's necessary, because you got the mountains, he's got the flatlands.
Right,
I mean, you have to have that, but I highly encourage you out there. I mean, if y'all hunt, and I know a lot of you do, check out Huntography.com and check out Zac's contributions to it. He'll be back, though. Zac, appreciate it, man.
All right, good. Be sure to follow us on the deer tour this year.
That's right, the deer tour this year.
Yes,
check. You can find out all about it. Huntography.com. We'll come back hour number 2. Anthony Castrovents of MLB.com talking Major League Baseball second half. John Cooper of Saturday Down South at 5:30. We're talking SEC football. Y'all keep it locked to the NRV's Fox Sports Radio Super Sports 101.7.